Christian, the West will no longer be free.
That's right.
He is searching for, I believe, ultimate truth. And I think we should be praying for that.
Absolutely.
And honestly, he's also doing more to fight for righteous purposes than even some pastors that I can think of.
Exactly.
And Elon is not a pastor, but he doesn't call himself a pastor, which is really important. But look, we are in this God-granted season of grace that we did not earn, that we did not deserve. I mean, we all know what would have happened if Kamala would have won. I mean, we'd be having a much different conversation right now, much different.
In a bunker.
I mean,
from a bunker.
Our churches would be raided with FBI agents. Our
AM radio would have been shut down.
Yeah, Turning Point would be completely persecuted. The borders would be totally open. The border issue alone might have broken the back of this country.
Right. That's right.
And I mean, if that's all Trump does, is he gives us a little bit of breathing room to be able to restore sovereignty and a commonality of culture and language. You can't have a nation where 10 million foreigners are coming across and you have no idea who they are. Exactly. So as far as, I completely agree, but here's my fear. And my fear is that pastors are not actively trying to provoke that spiritual revival.
That's right.
Because they don't understand how to reach the young men that are coming to their church that are seeking this. And so, for example, you have young men that will drive 2 hours to come to this church.
That's right.
They'll drive across state lines. And that's a good thing for you. That means you're doing your job. But do you know what that means? That means they passed 100 churches on the way here that aren't doing their job.
That's exactly correct.
And the thing I hear, and again, I emphasize young men, because as the men go, the society goes. It's not a sexist thing to say that.
And I think that's why Satan, the spiritual darkness of this world, goes after men.
Exactly.
You control a man, you castrate a man, socially speaking, in other ways.
Literally sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes literally, and then you remove the man that God designed to be a leader.
Exactly.
Then the culture falls apart.
And a lot of these pastors are ill-equipped to be able to communicate to this young man. And I will say, so let's just say a young man comes to a local pastor. Understand, he has been conditioned through social media of watching myself, watching you, watching Matt Walsh, of plainly spoken truths.
Yep.
So he does not want watered down political correctness.
He's done with that.
He's done with that. And yet he goes and the pastor is doing, well, you know, maybe there's no difference between heaven or hell, and maybe homosexuality's fine. And this young man says, forget it, this is a waste of time.
That's right.
I'm not getting up at 9 a.m. for this.
That's right.
This is hyper feminine, you know, everyone goes everywhere, and I don't want that. Instead, you know what that young man really wants? He wants a strong male pastor
so true.
To say, you're a sinner, you're acting like a loser, stop watching porn, stop drinking.
Because he knows it's true. Holy Spirit's speaking to him.
It cuts straight into the heart issue, right? He doesn't want and I use this example a lot, and I know you'll take it well, Jack. Some pastors don't like it, but it's just a factual thing. These advertisements that he gets us advertisements, which I don't like.
Look, I don't.
Okay, good. I don't know.
Horrible.
I think they're
misleading.
And they're hyper narcissistic.
Absolutely.
And they're also incredibly feminine.
Absolutely.
And so you think about it. What is the type of gospel where you want to be like, well, he gets you? Well, hold on. The gospel is not an I-centric.
That's right.
Right? It is a Jesus-centric.
Yeah, it's come and be crucified.
Exactly. And so the young man hears a gospel, something of the sort of, your emotions are the most important thing. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to give you rules for life. Where they are begging the pastor, can you please do a life correction plan for me? Can you please show me what I'm doing wrong? Challenge me. Give me something to do. But that might offend people, Jack.
The gospel truth's going to be offensive.
But you think about it, again, I know this might sound like an overgeneralization, but God created the masculine and the feminine, and we need a balance of both.
That's what he's doing.
When a society gets too masculine, you invade Poland. When a society gets too feminine, you start chopping off girls' breasts. Right? So you have to...
Isn't that something?
You got to get a balance. Right now, we're way too feminine. What does that mean? That means that no one challenges bad ideas of people in power.
Right.
Women are societal enforcers of norms. And so that used to be a really good thing when America was Christian.
Yes.
Because the moms of America would be the ones that would say, hey, stop drinking. We need prohibitions. They were the enforcers of Christian norms. Now women are very, very far left because societal's norms are liberal. And so they definitionally are like, hey, we can't offend the single or trans person, even though it's 1 in 50,000 people, or even less than that. We can't say one thing that will offend them. We can't possibly say anything that like homosexuality is wrong.
Right.
Because that would be too judgy. And the question I ask pastors is, forget whether or not this is a good idea or bad idea biblically. Has this worked? Has the overly emotional, feeling-based gospel worked?
Yeah.
Last 30 years, it hasn't.
That's right.
Church attendance is down. We are less Christian than we were 30 years ago.
That's right. Exactly right. What you said something a second ago that made me think about, is this still true? Regarding Trump and the statistics, did he do poorly with the white suburban female still?
He did better.
He did better?
But he did not.
What's with them? What's the deal with that?
Well, a lot of things. Number one, they are increasingly secular. And so white educated, and that's the key. So you have to break it apart. The divisions in America are less on race, so I shouldn't even say white, but it tends to be, this group tends to be more white. It's more about whether or not you have four-year college or you don't. And most importantly,
there you go.
And so let's just kind of go into the most miserable people in America are women. This is a fact.
True.
This is not Charlie just conjecturing.
Right. No, this is
is
true.
who actually commits suicide the most,
Yep.
the people that ask for antidepressants the most. This is objective surveys that actually say, are you very happy or very unhappy, okay? With like 100,000 respondents. The unhappiest people in America are women who are not married without kids.
Yep.
Without a doubt. So,
absolutely.
And they tend to be very loyal Democrat voters, right? They're looking for meaning, and they find that meaning in societal macro shaping causes. But then you kind of go to your suburban mom, right? The suburban mom, they tend to not be as religious as suburban women used to be. They'll be like spiritual, so they might find a local church that is in that heretical mold. But they will not necessarily glean towards a Jack Hibbs church. Too judgy. He's too political.
Too long of a service in the Bible, too much Bible.
Yeah, way too much Bible, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, though, that they have a great attachment because they're very big into boss babe feminism in their own personal career accomplishments.
What's it called?
Boss babe feminism.
Help me.
Yeah,
what is
okay.
this?
So boss babe is this kind of trend where I'm running the company and I'm a boss babe. So you never heard this term before?
No, I'm old, Charlie.
You guys have never heard this before? Oh my goodness.
I'm old.
So think of, have you ever seen House of Cards? No? Ever seen that show? No? I'm trying to think of a good example of who like a boss babe would be that you would think of. Think of like AOC energy. Where
and she's the boss?
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, so by the way, just so you know, many of your companies are being run by childless 32-year-old women with kids.
Got it. Seen it.
So you've seen that kind of archetype, right? Yep. Their identity is in how many shoes they own and how many trips they go on.
Gosh, is this going to be brutal to say? I'll probably get shot for this.
Go ahead.
I have been
I'm trying not. I'm just using data. Everything I'm saying is rooted in.
In fact, I'm going to blame you for this.
It's fine. I'm not.
Do women who are in authority? There's exceptions.
Yes.
There's exceptions. But does it seem that women who are handed authority have a tendency to overplay the authority more than a man?
Well, it's overcompensation, right? So there's two.
And I'm not saying that to be mean, but men work this out in the 5th grade in the field at school, beating each other up.
It's an issue of nature, and it's very simple. Let me tell you why. It's because women have a very difficult time not emphasizing on the micro. So when you're in charge of something, you definitionally have to be focused on macro. Let me prove it to you. If you go to a random party and you sit next to a guy, he's going to talk to you about sports, the stock market, political affairs, or the end of the world, right?
Yep.
Basically the most macro topics that you could imagine.
Yep.
Are we going to war with Iran?
Yeah.
Are like the most big, you sit next to a woman, she'll be talking about conversations she had at lunch.
Yes.
She'll be talking about her kids or her doctor visits. Yeah. The most micro things imaginable.
Right.
So if you're running a team, an organization, or a CEO,
got it.
You are focusing on micro when you need to be vision casting. Right. Now, some women are able to do macro. Yeah. There's exceptions to all things, right? Esther was able to do macro, okay?
Absolutely.
But generally, if you want to deliver people from the promised land, you need a Moses, okay?
So good.
You need someone that is like the biggest macro thinker imaginable. And men are better programmed for this. And this is also one of the reasons why the stereotype is true. We tend to not clean our rooms and we tend to kind of be a mess. We kind of like forget the micro and we're just like, nope, we're gonna go do the biggest possible thing imaginable.
So true.
It's how God has gifted us.
Yeah.
So when it comes to women in leadership, whatever that might look like, they will hyper-emphasize conversations or whatever like little detail that might be plaguing the group, when there might be a much bigger issue at play.
So true.
So when we now look at societal, and your question was about Trump with suburban women, many of them are not necessarily in happy marriages, and they have an idea of what they think the Western man should be. And their idea of the Western man is largely born out of a concept that came out of college, where they think the Western man should at best be egalitarian with the woman,
right,
or at worst that we need a woman to be superior to the man.
Right.
And so we've lived in this feminist lie, whether we realize it or not, the last 40 years, right? And how has that worked? We've told women to stop getting married, stop having kids, and the Western woman is so beyond miserable.
That's right.
Child rates are going down. They are consuming benzodiazepines and Xanax and Zoloft and Prozac in numbers that are just unfathomable.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's pandemic.
It really is.
Really.
So has the experiment of sexual liberation of women worked?
Yeah.
No, it's been a catastrophe,
Disaster.
actually. In fact, if you want to know whether or not a marriage is going to work, you know what the number one indicator is? You can use this in marital counseling.
Tell me.
And the data. How many sexual partners has the woman have?
Oh.
Yeah. If it's 5 or more, the marriage almost will not work out. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see
But
it because
it sounds sexist, but it actually doesn't matter how many the man has had.
no. Well, this is a great.
Meaning it's not an indicator. It matters spiritually.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, Lisa and I have been involved in marital counseling for over 36 years with people, and it's remarkable because not to destroy the man and not to destroy the woman, but you said something that people need to know about, people need to hear, especially the young people, is that a woman who, I'll just use the term, samples the field.
Yeah, fine.
She thinks she's liberated. She thinks she can do what a guy does in that area. I'm not condoning the conduct, but she's so made different that what happens is it's an imprint upon 100%. Her that it's so forever for her. And if she has 5 or 10, there's an imprint where the guy, and again, I'm not bashing guys, but a guy is more forgetful. He's not he's not impressionable that way. He does great in a monogamous, long-term relationship is where he flourishes, and that's where the intimacy is meaningful to him. And that's actually what she needs, what she wants, and she doesn't know it. She thinks, I'm gonna be like a guy. Well, you can't be like a guy because we don't take all that stuff seriously.
To say it a step further is that women are designed by God to view sex very personally, very relationally. Men view it very physically, especially when they're 19 years old.